Good morning. Hello guys, xin chào các bạn. I promise to you I will not speak Vietnamese, no worries. So basically, we're gonna do today, cover a little bit of your time today. Two main parts of my presentation, or my speech today. First one, just like when we talk to startups, it's a problem. And the second one is a solution, or at least part of the solution. And I would like to have a message for you. I would like a few things you guys bring home with you. The first is the Vietnamese ecosystem in the last few years developed a lot. There are some kind of amazing programs, amazing results. However, it's still a lot of room for improvement, not only in terms of quantity, but quality as well. The second, you will see that I will talk about an angel network and why I think the next step for the Vietnamese ecosystem to get more and more integrated to the international system, have more foreigners to work together with the local ecosystem, how it will help for the Vietnamese startup to be more competitive. So let's just start once I find my device. Basically, yeah, even the government is great, right? We all know government says they want to have 1 million companies in Vietnam within a few years, probably 2020, right? So it's not bad, it's very good. Government, even Prime Minister talks about that. We have a big champion, Deputy Prime Minister. We have Tech Fest when the government speaks about the startups and it's live in TV, so it's all great. On the other hand, you can see it's more relevant if you see the other ASEAN-backed startups from Indonesia, from Malaysia are coming to Vietnam, and then they are just like somewhat invading the market because they are very competitive. And the question is, where are those Vietnamese companies, not just few, I mentioned for you, example for you later, are going abroad, be able to build a kind of strong management team, competencies, financials, to be able to go to other markets. So the few examples, I'm sure everyone knows. ABB, they got a worldwide award, Topica is well known, Beekeeping is one of the great stories, but we just have few in mind, right? So it's not bad, and it's much better than a few years ago. At least we have few names, few faces, few success stories. But it's not a trend, or not yet. In the other hand, the great VCs, when they invest in, or want to invest in Vietnamese startups, they say, okay guys, things are good, management is good, future is great, you guys go to Singapore, you set up your company over there, we finance you in Singapore, and you do your job in Vietnam. Is it good for Vietnam? Yeah, maybe not much. Okay, so eventually you can ask the basic question why I'm dealing with this question, what motivates you to do so. It's very basic. I have been here for quite a long time, like 11 years, and I could see how this ecosystem was born almost from zero and reached the level where it is today. On the other hand, I have another role. Sometimes I travel to Brussels. We have a big public fund over there. It has a lot of money, 3 billion euros, to invest in the best of the best startups, best of the best technologies in Europe. And I just seen that, sadly, there is a big gap between that level and even the best of the Vietnamese startups. And I was thinking about that, okay, obviously it has a different history, the two ecosystems, but how to make things better here in Vietnam to speed up and reach that level. And the program, sometimes I work for as a member of the investment jury. It's a very significant program, one of the few quick, efficient programs of the European Union. It's very transparent. 2 years ago, 10% of all the tech IPOs in Europe belong to this program. And I'm sure some of you guys know fellow jury member. Probably this face is, many of you can remember this other great Finnish people, is Marco Seppa, who is sending his greetings to you. So these kind of senior people are in the board, so business professionals make the decision which company should get the money and which has not. So as I mentioned to you, I've seen that there is a big gap between readiness of the best of the Europeans and the best of the Vietnamese. And honestly, this comparison is not really fair. Because it's like, I'm challenging VinFast, which was recently established, and asking why VinFast is not selling as many cars in Europe as like Porsche, which is like, who knows how old is this company, and they are the best sellers in the world. But it helped us to see some few elements. How is it in Vietnam, and how are the changes, what is the development here? So we have Topica, right? And Topica is great. Every year they collect the most important players in the ecosystem. This map is from 2014. So count how many co-working spaces we have, how many events. Just count how many accelerators we had only just 5 years ago. So here's the change. This year, a lot of new players. Some just gone, like Catch, it's not there anymore. A lot of new players, a lot of new accelerators, investors. So we may think that we did a good job. And practically speaking, we did. So we have few good stories, very good programs. We can invite world-class speakers to this conference like today. So the Vietnamese startup ecosystem is getting bigger, getting stronger, more visible, especially at least in the ASEAN level. Well, you know, I could see even US angels are traveling to Vietnam and trying to get more familiar with the startups here. Okay, so we think we did a good job. I'll show you something else. Sadly, it's not really visible. It's only one city in Europe. It's called Berlin. Not very big, not very small if you compare to Ho Chi Minh City. And they can't have such a map with the logos I showed you before. Why is that? Because only that you can see that very dark dot in the very middle. That's one district in Berlin. Only the investors, and the number there is more than 600. So it's one city, one district, middle area of Berlin, and they have much more investors than probably in whole Indochina. So there is a huge gap to fill. So before we think that there are enough players in the market, there is a huge room to grow in terms of quality, and also we still have a big need for newcomers, new investors, incubators, co-working spaces as well. There are several problems if we want to help the startups in Vietnam to be more competitive. It's not enough to have good enough number of startups. We need the ecosystem around, and the ecosystem itself should be competitive. But if you see how it works in Vietnam, we have many incubators. There is no accreditation. So I call a few of you, like you ladies in the middle, and tomorrow we set up an incubator and we call ourselves incubator. Right? We could do that. Quality, maybe we are smart, maybe we are good, and maybe we can help startups. There are not so many well-trained innovation managers in Vietnam. There was another program from Finland, it's called IPP. This is why many of you know Marco. They train few people. In the best of the universities in Vietnam, there is at least one who understands the same language, so can help with the students, but not much. Other very big problem, okay, we have Shark Tank, great. Shark Tank is not a benchmark, okay, so it's a TV show. Don't believe what we say. Today we have another Shark Tank guest, and that's why I'm telling you. So it's a TV show, very good to have because, seriously, so it raises the awareness. More and more ordinary people who never heard about startup, now they know what startup is, what investor, what angel is. So it's a good program. Terms and conditions, don't believe it, okay? Why is it relevant here? Angels in Vietnam, we don't have enough. Actually, we have very few. Most of them have no idea what you're talking about. Because they never did this business. It's not real estate, it's not commercial activity, it's not like buying the land, wait for 1 or 2 years and sell against a very good profit. It's a different type of business, and very few has real first-hand experience. Also, like I mentioned to you, mentors can be self-declared. There are so many good mentors in Vietnam and few who are not. Because everyone with no hair like me, or like gray hair, with a bit of experience can say, okay, I will tell you how to build your startup. They are good or not, nobody checks them. They don't have to make an account, there is no accreditation, no license, no control over the quality. Access to capital is an evergreen topic for all the startup ecosystem in Vietnam. It's very relevant. Knowledge of startup founders, also room for improvement. And there is a lot of international experience. Most of the startups in Vietnam are very happy with the big market size here, and not many preparing the startup from day zero to conquer at least the ASEAN market. Okay, we can't solve all the problems overnight. We can see few problems, we can handle few problems, and we can focus on few. And we have an experiment here. The experiment is based on this problem. So the angels, they don't have the knowledge and experience. There is not good access to capital. Also, the knowledge of startup founders is room for improvement and international experience. So if you put together this, you can come up with a solution. Let's imagine if you set up an angel network, when the angels, they co-invest, so not just one angel puts some money, but the angels co-investing, local Vietnamese angels, and Viet Kids. So successful Vietnamese living abroad, they co-invest, they help each other, they share the knowledge, because many of them, they're already very successful in this business. Both the Vietnamese, Vietnam and the Viet Kids do mentorship for the startups, and they can link the best of the portfolio companies to foreign VCs. So that's the concept. How to make it done? We need two great people for that, two great guys, Minh and Harry. Minh is from Vietnam and Harry is also from Vietnam, but he has been in Australia for quite a long time, very successful in business. He's, if I'm not mistaken, entrepreneur of the year in the accounting services, so very high profile, and also a successful mentor and entrepreneur. This is the basic background without going into the details. Mr. Minh is vice chairman of Eurochem, well-known, well-connected, partner of Mazars, so he knows how to do business in Vietnam. Even he advised foreigners to come to Vietnam and how to do business here. And Harry is doing the same in Australia. So what are the goals here? Have the angels, the Vietnamese angels, get linked to the angels in Australia. Do the whole process of the screening, evaluation, due diligence, investment, negotiation, whatsoever, mental, together. Why is it good? Guys in Australia know the business. People in Vietnam, they have the money. Well, simple as it is. They have to work together. They have to cooperate. They have to have the Vietnamese startups to get the next stage. Obviously, for this, you have to be very careful how to select the startups. English, obviously, is a must, because if the end result is to be able to work with the VCs, the Australian VCs, there should be a good knowledge for that. And obviously, it's not a charity. So this is a general mistake in Vietnam. Many of you guys, when you have your first company and you approach the angels, you think that it's a donation. You want to ask the money, and it's not the right approach. You offer a business. You offer that you will make much more money for the angels than they bring the money to the bank or buy a land, something like that. And these angels will tell the companies from day zero, this is business. So we expect a financial return. And once we are happy with the financial result, obviously we do it again. So Mr. Minh is speaking on an innovation summit. So we already started the operation. We are evaluating the first companies. And this is more or less the very simplified process of the operation. So there will be these Vietnamese startups, there will be the Vietnamese angels, the Australian angels, and eventually the Australian VCs will hopefully hand over the best of the portfolio companies. There are 10 members, 4 in Australia, 6 in Vietnam at this moment, and they contribute with capital, knowledge, network, and mentorship. We already have some. Which days? And this is not really visible, I know that, but it's a kind of simplified way of what will happen with the startup. So these are the elements of the evaluation, and these are the elements where the mentors, the angels, will have the startup develop the company further. It's not a standardized curriculum, so not everyone has to develop further the financials or the marketing or whatever. So there will be a kind of gap analysis. We see what is already good, and we just have to develop slightly further, and what is completely missed, and we have to build from zero. So it will be very much tailor-made according to the existing knowledge and existing readiness and resources of the startup. Okay, selection criteria, obviously, they should be very good in terms of team, in terms of story and market. Very important to mention, this is one of my favorite topics if you ask me about startups and what is the big problem with Vietnamese startups. It's called coachability. It's a weird word, but it's like, basically it's the skill to be able to listen, adapt, and listen to your mentor. So the mentor is with you, okay? The mentor, I mean, this, in our case, the angel is at your side. We put the money, so we want to get the money back. Therefore, be 100% in your side. Please listen. It's one of the selection criteria. If we see in the very early stage it doesn't work, because we have like entrepreneurs with great self-confidence, they know everything, but the only thing they need is just money, probably that's a sign when we don't continue. Ticket size is $10,000 in the beginning, and we follow up, and after that we try to bring them to VCs. Basically, if I have to summarize what I said, there are two main messages here. First is, here in Vietnam in the last 5, 6, probably 10 years, that was kind of magic has happened. From literally zero or almost zero, now we have an ecosystem, we are here today, it's not the first time we are here, it's a series of events, right? It's all already very good, we have even like some kind of old faces, we can recognize people from actually several years, so it's already good. But in terms of quality and quantity, it's still a lot of room for improvement, especially in quality. The next stage for the ecosystem is to get better linked to the international players, just like we have the great Finnish supporters here. And that will be the next step, to have resources, knowledge, and connections to other ecosystems, at least in the level at least in the ASEAN level. Second thing is we can't solve everything one by one, especially it's kind of tradition here in Vietnam to ask the government to solve. It's not the government's role. The government should help with the policy making, with opening funds or get tax incentives for the players, but we have to do that. So we have to link our startup, our program, our initiative to all the other players who can be interested. Eventually, I would like to convince you to check the startup. Can this very special new angel be interesting for you? Can you see the values? Do you want to work with foreigners? Do you want to bring your startup and present yourself for the Australian VCs? If you think you can be competitive enough, not only in Vietnam, at least in the ASEAN level, you think that you can, with obviously support, with help, negotiate with like very greedy and professional VCs in Australia, obviously again with some support. So if you have that ambition to bring your startup out of Vietnam sooner or later, not obviously not tomorrow, but you have a plan to do that in 2, 3, 4 years, I strongly suggest you to find those incubators who have good international network. We have already few in Vietnam. Very good incubators like Visa and Cotica, for example. But this is a unique program because it's driven and managed by angels. Angels who put the money, insert, and invest in your company. They sit together with you, they help you to develop the startup further, and eventually make you or help you to be an international player. So if you have any question, I'm happy to answer. Okay?
Mọi người có câu hỏi gì cho Csaba không? có anh chị nào apply muốn apply vào chương trình của anh không? Xin chào ngài. Thì không biết ngài là nhà đầu tư có thể nói là rất tiềm năng cho khu vực châu Âu và châu Á. Không biết là ngài là ở châu Á thì có một cái phong tục tập quán Á Đông, tức là thiên về tâm linh và có những cái sức mạnh về ngoại cảm. Biết là nếu có những người mà người ta họ có thử nghiệm về lĩnh vực này, tức là ngoại cảm và những về tâm linh, ngài có quan tâm đầu tư hoặc là ngài có những lời khuyên như thế nào? Vâng, ngài.
A bit noisy. Try to understand what you say. So if you ask me what are the areas I'm interested in potentially investing, right? If I understand you well, then my answer is for this group of angels, everything can be interesting if you can demonstrate your competitiveness. So if it's IT, it's edutech, agriculture. Obviously, we are based on our background. We are better in finance, we are better in like, services, like agriculture, for example. But the main question and the selection criteria is what is your competitiveness? Can you demonstrate that your team is strong enough, your story is good enough, the market is good enough? So if you have these basics, you can tell us what is your competitive advantage, what is the sustainable competitive advantage, what is for your company or for yourself, that you know but nobody else, and your competitors can't copy you, whatever it can be. Because at this level, because normally we will work with a very early stage startups. At this level, for almost every reasonable and competitive startups, we can deliver value. Once, because some basics like building the business, finance, human resource, and all the other things, kind of general. These kind of problems happens, and companies are facing it. There are some sector specific in terms of business development, but we can find the right people together. So if you want to sell your product in Australia, we will find the right investor for you after a while, once you reach a certain level. Right? So the main question is, what is your competitiveness, how convincing you are, and to be able to show to us that you will be able to bring your company to the next stage.
Any question? Xin chào. Dạ thưa, tôi có theo dõi bài thuyết trình của ông, thì sau khi ông trình bày thì tôi nghĩ đó là ông có một thời gian sống rất là dài ở Việt Nam. Tuy nhiên thì trong bài thuyết trình của ông thì tôi chỉ thấy ông nhắc đến một từ liên quan đến cái chính sách của chính phủ là giảm thuế cho các startup. Với thang điểm 10, thì ông đánh giá đó là chính sách của Việt Nam, chính phủ Việt Nam đối với cái hệ sinh thái khởi nghiệp nó là bao nhiêu điểm và tác động của nó là bao nhiêu điểm. Và đó là câu hỏi đầu tiên. Câu hỏi thứ hai tôi muốn hỏi đó là ông nhắc tới đó là hệ sinh thái Việt Nam thay đổi chất và lượng. Vậy ở trong hệ sinh thái có hai biến, đó là startup và nhà đầu tư, thì theo ông thì hệ sinh thái Việt Nam nên thay đổi chất và lượng ở startup trước hay là nhà đầu tư trước? Xin cảm ơn.
Very good question. You want me to make a comment on the Vietnamese government. Thank you for that. So of course, in terms of communication, then even Prime Minister talks about startups. It means there are some orientation even for local level people at the government. You should do this or that. It's very good. If you ask me about the speed, that's a room for improvement. But don't forget, normally the public servants, in the administration, they are not entrepreneurs. So it takes time for them to understand the logic. It's a complete new business for them. It's not like traditional kind of industry, it's not agriculture, it's not like a tax system, which they already know. It's something new. It takes time to adapt. What I would be very happy to see is obviously tax incentives, not only for startups but for angels. And it's not rocket science. There is a very good example in Malaysia. It's not very far, but the ecosystem is much more developed than in Vietnam. They have a tax incentive for business angels. So business angels should have an accreditation. It means they have to show how much money they have. They have to be licensed. And if they invest in a startup, like let's say like $100,000 or whatever, 2 years later this money will be deducted from the personal income tax. So this money will be spent anyways. Either goes to the government pocket or go to a startup. In this way, in Malaysia, just within 1.5 years, they could collect 200 accredited business angels with capital and with knowledge, because this group, to be able to license, they should know more than just the basics of this business. Second part of your question is what I would like to see: better quality startups and better quality investors. Yeah, both. So it, like, two things help each other. Better startups, better management helps even the investors to have more challenging negotiations, and also more higher quality investors will have the startup. It will have the management to be more competitive internationally. So you need, but it's not enough. So it's not enough to have startups and investors. You need the whole ecosystem to develop further. Incubators, co-working spaces, events like this, supporters, media. Still, we don't have enough media about startups. Not just like the news and Real Estate Asia to say what kind of good deals we have, but education, media and education. So a lot of things to develop further.
Any more questions? Mình còn thời gian cho một câu hỏi nữa. Vậy nếu mọi người không có câu hỏi gì thì chúng ta sẽ đến phần trình bày tiếp theo. Xin cảm ơn anh Csaba rất là nhiều. Thank you very much.